Hey, I'm Ron Drodos from keyboardimprov.com, and welcome to our journey through the real book number 228, which is a personal, huge favorite of mine, Keith Jarrett's Memories of Tomorrow. And as we go through this book, each lesson is how to learn these standards in a way that's not just the notes on the page. Where does this come from? What produced it? What climate? What cultural climate? What was Jarrett about at that time? You know, it can help us learn these tunes to approach it in a similar way that he did, and then also maybe take it in different directions as well, because we're coming from a place of understanding. That's what we want with our music. That's what will help us get much farther and develop who we are. Jarrett's one of the most instantly identifiable pianists, because he's not trying to play like everybody else. He absorbed a lot from other people. I heard he could have done, he did imitations of people like Errol Garner at sound checks. He'd sit down and you know, that sort of chunk Freddie Green style guitar thing Errol would do in the left hand. I heard Jarrett could do that. Errol Garner probably influenced his long rubato intros, because that's what Errol Garner would do. Crazy introductions. Listen to Concert by the Sea. So anyway, that's how we can learn from our idols without only just copying them. So why is this close to my heart? So I was born in '64, so around 1979, a few years after this was released on the Köln concert, 4 or 5 years later, I was getting into jazz and pop and playing in a rock band, and we did some jazzy stuff too. And one of my friends in the band must have said, hey, you got to hear Keith Jarrett's Köln concert, solo improvised concert. And I did, and this is the encore. I think it's part 2C. If you go on Spotify or a streaming service and you look at Köln, K-O-L-N, it's the town Cologne, but it's the German name for Cologne, the original. And you listen to 2C. It's one of the encores, and it's the only piece that I think on the Köln concert that was precomposed. Not every note, but it was a tune. It was a lead sheet, you know, that he had written, and he's improvising on it. I always wondered, because the Köln concert's famous for being I don't know if you can hear airplane coming outside. I don't know if you know that very well, but check it out. It's improvised, and he does a lot of these kind of vamp things. You know, he's doing where he's going. Where he's playing 1 or 2 chords over a vamp. That was C and D minor over a C pedal. And it's this gospel kind of thing, and then he's doing some more atmospheric. You know, sort of modal kind of stuff too. It's a wonderful album. And then this comes out of the blue, and it sounds not just, it sounds improvisatory, because that's how he's playing, but it just works. It's a tune. Chord changes that make sense in 3 8-bar sections that flow from one to the other. And I'm thinking, either this was like a once-in-a-lifetime thing where he's just improvising and like lightning strikes and it's just Mozart-like genius, or he composed it earlier. And it turns out years later that he has said he composed it earlier. I think there's an earlier live recording from someplace on the internet. In any case, it's a wonderful tune. It's got straight 8th notes. And it's close to my heart because this is one of the first things I heard by Keith Jarrett, and he's the reason that I went into music. I heard this, I said, this is what I want to do. You know, I was in love at first hearing with Keith Jarrett's playing, and particularly the Köln concert and Memories of Tomorrow. So I learned it out of my old copy of the real book. It was the 5th edition at the time. And then when there was a talent show at my local high school, I was in 9th or 10th grade, I played this. That was when I played this, and I went into a slow blues and a fast blues, like a medley. And people like it. It a good tune to play. It kind of sounds poppy. You can get jazzy, you can get gospel-y, whatever connection with your audience, musical connection, you could sort of find that through a piece like this. I'm going to start out kind of atmospheric. I find myself, we talked about this in a lot of these Journey Through the Real Book videos, and for you too, I bet. If you just start right out with the melody or how they play it, it's sort of like it's easy to just sort of do a second-rate Keith Jarrett, you know, or maybe a 10th-rate Keith Jarrett in my case. But if I start out by finding a little musical spark that's my own, like I'll just do it on the A minor chord, then when I bring in the melody, I'm in my world. I'm not in Jarrett's world so much. It's sort of meeting it halfway, meeting him halfway, but definitely bringing my own self to the equation, which we don't always do when we're playing. We're just playing, wondering why it doesn't sound as good as Keith Jarrett. That's no fun. So this is a lot more fun. I'm just going to start out with a nice sort of, I kind of call this fingerstyle, like fingerstyle guitar, I call it fingerstyle piano. Strumming, finger, single strum, what do they call it? Finger, single note guitar, I don't know what it's called. But basically, instead of strumming, you're playing one note at a time, one string at a time. And see where it takes me when I get into the tune. So here we go. I'm revisiting a tune that I've been playing since I was certainly 15. Yeah, ended on a nice C chord with an added D, an add 2 chord, kind of 70s poppy feel. That's where this is coming from, mid-70s, and it's got that pop sort of flavor a little bit. Very interesting thing happened right at the beginning of that, because I did that sort of what I was calling fingerstyle piano, sort of guitar-like thing, and I got a nice groove going, and it was really working, because I was getting in my own world. I was, okay, now I'm going to play the melody, and it's coming from my heart. And I started the melody, and I realized it was significantly slower than Jarrett plays it. Usually, and that's how most people play it. That's how I usually play it. And I thought, that's good, because I can find something in it here, right? I can find something, and I found that a sort of a strength came out, like a robustness, with these. So when I went into those gospel kind of flavors, it had a more of a strength, like an earthiness than if it was faster. And it's just a little different, right? It's good both ways, but it's kind of fun to explore that. So I took what sort of seemed like, oh, this might be a negative, and I turned it into a positive, and I think definitely came to some things that I usually don't do in the song, and I think it held together even better than when I usually play it a little faster. So it's good to experiment with these things, and sometimes when something's going a little differently than you expected, consider it a gift to explore that a little more. It works, tunes work at different tempos, so it's kind of fun to try it like that. So try it both ways. Try it his tempo, and then maybe a little bit slower, and see where it takes you. I was doing it like a lot of open root fifth octaves in the left hand, sort of almost poppy. That's modeled on how he played it. Hey, so hopefully this gets you started on one of my favorite tunes, or if you've played it before, gives you some different ideas, or at least here, sort of look over my shoulder as I play it and take a few things from there, just like I did to my teachers, like Billy Taylor, looked over his shoulder when he played, take what you can. Oh, try that. Thanks for being here. If you look down in the description, you can see some free stuff for you. Also my video course, if you're interested, help you learn many different styles from a place of understanding, and help you get to that next level and enjoy your playing, maybe even more. As always, enjoy the journey and let the music flow.